Okay, so first of all, thank you everybody for joining the call tonight. I wanted just to state a special thanks to my friend Kristina Schmidt, calling from Vermont, who's presenting on stress tonight. I would just like to say that Kristina and I consider us really good friends. We met over a year ago through Village MD, who we both work for, and we probably talk about once a week, sometimes more than that, about coaching, about our lives, supporting each other, etc. I established this call with Claire's recommendation way back almost 2 years ago, and I've had a few guest speakers. Dr. Adelina Hamas was joined a couple of months ago, which was pretty awesome, and I'm real excited about what Kristina is going to talk about tonight, not only because I think just it overarches everything that goes on in our lives and the stress that we have in our chaotic lives. And I would say probably everybody on this call has some of that chaos going in their lives. And I know for sure she's going to be able to help and support us in that capacity. So without further ado, Kristina, the floor is yours. Thank you so much for being here. And also you got to share also your book too. So.
Oh, you want me to share my book?
Yes, tell us.
Okay, so my book is, and I'm in Sunderland, Vermont, if anyone knows Vermont, but probably no one does because you're all so far away. My book is one I read a long time ago, but it was incredibly impactful. And it is Mindfulness, an 8-week plan for finding peace in a frantic world. And Mike, I know I've told you about this book before. I think I've read it at least twice and I could read it again. It's just really, really great. So awesome. There you go. All right. So yeah, thank you, Mike. Thank you all of you for having me join you today. Mike's talked about this group so much, and I know he's asked me to join in the past just to kind of participate. And this is like my bedtime. So I'm making a special staying up late tonight to be here. So thank you all for having me. Yeah. And I took a nap. I shared that earlier with Mike. I took a nap, so I'm awake. Before I get started, I'm going to turn off my screen just because I feel like that is just better for me. And if anyone else wants to do that as well, you're welcome to do so. So I'm going to do that. And bear with me while I figure out how to do the screen sharing. Share screen. No, not that. Can you see my slide?
You can.
You can. Yay, I did it. All right. And I need to click this so I can see my, okay. So everyone's good. You can see everything?
Yeah, very well.
Wonderful. Okay, so I'm excited to talk today about one of my favorite topics, stress, and in particular, some strategies and techniques we can use to build resilience and bring calm to our lives. And I need to click forward. How do I do that? Oh, it worked. Okay. So yeah, so as Mike said, I'm Kristina Schmidt. I've been a registered nurse since 2004, a health coach for about 4.5 years, and board certified for 3.5. I have an autoimmune disease that is severely impacted by stress. So over the years, managing stress has been a huge part of my own personal story and improving my health and well-being. So in order to both help myself and to help my patients and my clients, I've done a little bit of additional training in breath as medicine and heart math, and I'll be sharing a tiny bit of these this evening as well. All right, today we're going to learn about what stress is, how your body reacts to stress, how chronic stress affects the body, as well as some strategies and tools you can implement to begin to manage your stress. Now, while we go through these, please just try to keep an open mind to trying some new things, but also know that not all of these are going to be ideas that work for your life. So just find 1 or 2 strategies that you think might work for you and go from there. All right, so let's start off with defining stress. Stress is an automatic physical, mental, and emotional response to a real or interpreted threat. So are you stressed right now? Let's do a quick stress check. First, Please rate your stress right now on a scale of 1 to 10, with 1 being very low stress and 10 being very high stress. You can either write this down or just keep it in the back of your mind for later. And next, I'd like you to just notice how you're feeling right now. How is your breathing? Is it shallow or deep? Are your neck and shoulders tense? Are you clenching your jaw? We often go through our days not even realizing the stress we're holding on to. So what I'd like to do now is just take a moment to do something called heart-focused breathing. So first, I'd like you to get into a comfortable position. You can choose to have your eyes open or closed. And we're going to bring our awareness to your heart and the area surrounding your heart. You might even want to place your hand on the center of your heart, on the center of your chest. As you're bringing awareness to this area, you're going to use the breath to breathe into and out of the heart area, slightly slower and deeper than we normally would do. And focusing on this area, imagine breathing through your heart. Picture your breath flowing in and out of the area of your heart. Sometimes it helps to breathe in for a count of 5 or 6 and out for a count of 5 or 6. Find a pace that works for you in this moment and allow your breath to anchor you in the here and now as you connect to the heart area, breathing into and out of your heart. Anytime thoughts come along, just notice them and move on past, bringing your awareness back to the heart area and the breath. And you can do this exercise for a few breaths longer, but whenever you finish, just wiggle your fingers and wiggle your toes. If you had your eyes closed, open them back up and connect to the environment you're in. Now, in this next moment, I would like you to pause and look inward and just notice for a moment what you're feeling in your body after doing that. I'd like you to think about how you're breathing now, what else you might be noticing. There's no need to share it with me. You can just go ahead and think about it. All right, we're going to kind of come back to that later. So there are 2 main causes of stress. There's external factors and internal factors. External factors are all of the situations, challenges, and difficulties you face on a daily basis. These include things like survival stress, your physical environment, your job, school, finances, relationships, marriage, moving, medical conditions, even things like public speaking. Internal factors influence your body's ability to respond to and deal with those external stress-inducing factors. These include your emotional well-being, your resiliency, mindset, nutritional status, how rested you are, and your overall health and fitness levels. We usually think of stress as negative, but really stress can be negative or positive. It can either help us learn and grow, or it can lead to significant problems. Eustress is a type of stress that is positive and beneficial. It helps to improve performance. It leads to positive emotional states and results in higher executive functioning, things like clear thought patterns and processing speed. It motivates us and helps us to get things done. We actually need eustress in our lives. But there's another kind of stress, distress, also known as fight or flight. This is negative and harmful when experienced chronically over time. So let's talk about how your body reacts to this kind of this distress. First, your body detects a threat, whether it's real or interpreted, and creates signals that start a chemical reaction, throwing cortisol and adrenaline into your bloodstream. Your body goes into the fight or flight response. Your breathing rate increases, your heart rate increases, and your blood pressure increases. Blood flow is directed to large muscle groups and away from your digestive tract. This is why some people get an upset stomach when they're stressed. Your emotional centers are hijacked, diminishing your ability to think clearly. This fight or flight response served us well back when we needed to run from predators. But once the chase was over, prehistoric man was safely back in his cave. He returned to a peaceful, resting state. The problem is we aren't cavemen running from danger, yet we frequently experience this fight or flight reaction throughout our daily lives. We're stressed out all the time. Jobs, family, kids, traffic, we're always on the go, trying to do it all. We're so used to being stressed out that as a society, we actually see it as normal. Even if you think you're managing it all, your body is still feeling the effects of the stress. It can be affecting you emotionally, mentally, and physically, as well as impact your behavior. Because unfortunately, your body does a poor job of distinguishing between life-threatening events and day-to-day stressful situations. Your body doesn't know whether you're being chased by a saber-toothed tiger or stuck in traffic running late for an appointment. The physiology of the body reacts exactly the same. So what are some of the signs that we're stressed? As I mentioned earlier, it can impact how your body feels. You could have things like a tight neck and shoulders, grind your teeth, clench your jaw. You might also have back pain, neck pain, a tight chest, a stomach ache, indigestion, or trouble sleeping. But it can also impact your mood, how you interact with others, decrease concentration, and your ability to focus or complete tasks. You might even notice an overall feeling of powerlessness. In terms of our behavior, when we're stressed, we tend to stop prioritizing the things that we enjoy. We make less healthy choices and avoid the things that are the most healthy for us. You might stop exercising, lose your appetite, or make poor food choices. You might get poor quality or insufficient sleep. Stress can impact your relationships. You might withdraw from friends or family or become irritable with them. In addition, some of the behaviors that people turn to in times of stress, such as drugs, pain medication, alcohol, smoking, and even eating, in addition to being unhealthy, actually serve to worsen the stress and can make us more reactive to further stress. This poor stress management can lead to chronic stress. And chronic stress affects nearly every system of the body. If chronic stress is not managed, it will wreak havoc. The health issues listed here are just a few of the many health conditions that are directly linked to chronic stress. Looking specifically at these highlighted health problems, diabetes, heart disease, and stroke are among the top causes of death in the US. Quite literally, chronic stress can be a factor in shortening your life. In addition to health problems, depending on how we emotionally react, irritability, lack of patience, withdrawing from relationships, chronic stress can take a huge toll on our relationships, which of course can then snowball the cycle of stress that we're feeling. There is good news. As much as chronic stress negatively impacts us, having a stress management plan that incorporates healthy habits can help you to manage your stress, increase resilience, and decrease risk of chronic illness. But what can we do to minimize the risk of chronic stress? Many times people think that they need to eliminate or avoid the things that are causing stress, essentially eliminate the external causes of stress. And sure, sometimes changing your job, ending an unhealthy relationship, avoiding stressful people or situations might help and even be realistic. But this can be a really drastic response, but this drastic response might not always be possible. You might not want to eliminate those stressors, or you might even prefer to find a way for the stressful situation or person to have a lower impact on your stress. In addition, eliminating stressors might help in the short term, but it won't help you the next time things pile up and you become overstressed. So if we're not going to eliminate the external stressors, what we can do is start to work on the internal causes of stress through strategies for stress management. And use of stress management techniques and tools can help increase resilience, increase positive thoughts and emotions, encourage self-compassion, and improve your overall health. Finding ways to manage your stress versus eliminating stressors opens up new possibility for your long-term health, your relationships, and overall well-being. Now, when people think about what to do when they're feeling stressed, they often think about self-care activities such as a bath, a manicure, or hobbies. And making time for and prioritizing these things may be an important part of your stress management toolkit. However, I'd like to focus today on some of the self-care tools that may not be what you typically think of. First up, we have mind-body techniques. Mind-body techniques help to build self-awareness. Self-awareness is your ability to notice your feelings, physical sensations, reactions, habits, behaviors, and thoughts without being attached to whether these things are right or wrong. By developing self-awareness, you grow in the capacity to notice your responses and stop unwanted habits and hyperreactive emotional states from taking charge of your mental state and mood. Simply put, you control your thoughts don't control you. The practices I listed here are just a few examples of mind-body techniques. And there are some really great apps that you can use to help support these, such as the Balance Meditation app, Insight Timer, and even things like free yoga or Tai Chi videos on YouTube. Mindfulness is just one example of a mind-body technique, and it's a great one for developing self-awareness. Mindfulness is a mental state achieved by focusing one's awareness on the present moment while calmly acknowledging and accepting one's feelings, thoughts, and bodily sensations without judgment. And the key there is really without judgment. Mindfulness-based stress reduction is an 8-week program to learn mindfulness as a way to reduce stress. It incorporates daily meditations that can be done virtually anywhere. It also encourages you to take a break from some of the unconscious habits of thinking and behaving. Put simply, it helps turn off autopilot. You know, that feeling you might have sometimes when you're driving down the road and all of a sudden you say, wow, how did I get here? I don't even remember the drive. I can't be the only person that does that. It also helps to build self-compassion, reduces anxiety, depression, and irritability. It improves memory and reaction times, and you can have better and more fulfilling relationships. And overall, it reduces key indicators of stress, such as hypertension, and boosts the immune system. Mindfulness helps your overall health and well-being to thrive at its best. Another approach to stress management is to change your thoughts or your mindset. And we're going to talk about a few examples. But once thoughts turn in a positive direction, it can become easier to brainstorm, action plan, and make forward momentum, which can actually help you feel less stressed. And as we practice responding to stressors in a positive way, we're actually building new neural pathways, which make it even easier to respond positively in the future. One way to do this is to increase feelings of positivity by expressing appreciation to others, keeping a gratitude journal, or practicing acts of kindness. Another thing you can do is to reframe your thoughts to consider a new perspective that is positive, realistic, and non-judgmental. For example, you might look at a potential problem as an opportunity, see the upside of a situation and how you may benefit from it, or look at how something you previously saw as a weakness might actually be a strength. You might be surprised by how often you can find some good mixed in with the bad. And as you do this, you actually start to change the emotions that are related to these thoughts. You can also change your story. We all have stories we tell ourselves about what we can or can't do. We've constructed a narrative based on our experiences and perceptions. These stories do not always serve us well. In order to change your story, you first need to become aware of the stories you tell yourself and how they shape your happiness and mood. Once you do that, you can start to change your story. And you might be starting to see how working on that non-judgmental, mindful awareness can really be applied to so many situations. Sometimes it's not possible to reframe a situation or change your story. You just need to get through the experience in front of you, and that's okay. Instead, try acceptance and self-compassion. Allowing yourself the kindness to accept the conditions you cannot change can have a positive effect on your mood and help you to work towards a healthier, more positive outlook in the areas you can alter. And sometimes we hold on to resentment and anger at situations and people, which leads to stress. Try to let go of that resentment and anger. See how it feels to do that. And remember, just because you forgive doesn't mean that you're saying that what happened was okay. It just means that you're no longer letting those feelings control you. Another approach to stress management might be to just take charge. For example, try not to ruminate on things like sadness, regret, or even things that might happen in the future. We tend to focus on and relive stressful events, but focusing on things that cannot be changed is not helpful. Instead, try identifying how you feel. There's that mindful awareness again. Accept the negative thoughts and feelings, and then take charge by just letting go and moving on. Or you could take action. Ignoring your problems doesn't make them go away. So taking action can reduce or even eliminate the stress that you're feeling. For example, you could face your stressor head on by having the difficult conversation with somebody, or creating a to-do list and starting to tackle it. Or you can be a schedule critic. Take a really good look at the things that are taking up your time. Are you allowing time for rest, for time to enjoy the things you love, to eat well, exercise, go outside? Try taking a hard look at what your schedule looks like and compare it to your ideal. When looking at the macro view, the big overall picture, are you overbooked? What can you say no to? Is there room in your day to block out even 10 minutes to focus on self-care? If your macro view seems like it should be working, but you're still struggling with time, try a micro view. Use a time tracker for maybe 3 days. How are you spending the pockets of time during the day? Are you losing time on social media, Googling recipes, decorating ideas, or maybe binge watching Netflix? Take charge and get control of your schedule. Finally, you can set and maintain boundaries. Protect your time for self-care and protect your schedule from becoming overfull. It's okay to say no. No to your spouse, your children, your friends, family, work. The fact that you say no is enough. There's no need to explain or defend. Now, I know that it can be hard to say no, especially for women, but try practicing it. Practicing, no, I'm sorry, I can't, or whatever combination of words feel most comfortable for you. Next, we have nutrition, exercise, and rest, which I'm sure Mike has talked a lot about. These tend to have a reciprocal relationship with stress and even each other. If you are stressed, you might not make healthy food choices, and at the same time, not eating well can actually increase your stress. So try focusing on your food choices. Try sitting down to eat a healthy meal. Eat slowly, chew fully. Don't multitask while you eat. Eat with friends and family. And try to avoid overeating or mindlessly stress eating. Exercise also has a reciprocal relationship with stress. When you are stressed, you may unfortunately skip exercise when exercise may actually help you to manage stress. Even light amounts of exercise, such as walking, can help with managing stress. On the other hand, too much exercise or exercise that's too intense, especially if you're already fatigued, can place greater stress on your body. This is particularly true for anyone with an autoimmune disease where excessive exercise could trigger a flare. So always be sure to listen to your body. Finally, stress can impact your sleep, and lack of quality sleep can impact your ability to deal with stress. So it just becomes this cycle. In fact, lack of quality sleep itself is a stressor on your body. So practice good sleep habits, or if you're concerned about your ability to get good quality sleep, you should make an appointment with a sleep doctor. Supportive relationships can actually help with stress management. But what does a supportive relationship actually look like? Sometimes we're not really sure. This kind of relationship includes non-judgmental acceptance, truly feeling like you can be you, and the communication is effective and respectful. Bonus is having friends with positive outlooks. Having positive, happy friends has actually been shown to increase your own happiness. Now, obviously, we can't avoid all negative people, but you can make more of an effort to spend time with those who are positive. Another thing you could do is try making a list of the social support you need in your life and the name of the person who fills that role. Identify gaps in your social support and think about how you can go about starting to fill in those gaps. So what else can you do? You can find additional ways to connect. For many people, this connection is related to their feeling of purpose in life. And studies show that having a sense of life purpose is associated with a lower risk of heart disease and death. These are just a few examples of how you can connect with feelings of purpose. You could connect with your community by volunteering for a cause that is meaningful for you. This may even include the added bonus of social connection. You could participate in spiritual or religious activities, or you could take a break from screens and social media and just get outside and connect with nature. Finally, you can connect with your breath. Breathwork is another excellent tool in your stress management toolkit. Breathing plays a pivotal role in the stress and calming response. It regulates heart rate, blood pressure, emotions, thoughts, and even the pace of your thoughts. Nasal diaphragmatic breathing is the foundation of healthy breathing patterns, both for physical health and for the stress response. So there are a few things you can do to help your body shift from the stress response to the calming response using your breath. You want to try to focus on the following things. Nasal breathing, which is breathing in and out through your nose, breathing slowly and breathing deeply. We tend to not breathe very deep, really only using the top portion of our lungs. This is especially true when we're feeling stressed. Breathing slowly and deeply actually helps you to use the entire portion of your lungs. Next, you want to do what we call diaphragmatic breathing. With this, you're consciously moving your belly out with the inhale and inward with the exhale. Doing this actually helps to stimulate the vagus nerve, which runs from your brainstem down into your abdomen. Activating the vagus nerve is a key aspect of the calming response and actually helps to lower your heart rate and your blood pressure. Finally, the last thing you want to think about is doing a longer exhale than inhale. Inhaling activates the stress response. So what we want to focus on is increasing the time in the exhale to really maximize the calming response. All right, so what I would like to do now is walk you through a simple breathing exercise. First, I would like you to get into a comfortable position. If possible, I'd like you to sit up straight and lengthen your spine. Engage your feet into the floor. Pull your shoulder blades back and down. Allow your abdomen to soften. Your eyes can be closed or gazing softly downward. Relax your jaw. Place your tongue gently against the roof of your mouth. Release the features of your face. Now start to slow your breath down. Next, focus on breathing in through your nose and out through your nose at whatever pace is comfortable for you. Gradually begin to take long, slow, deep breaths in through your nose and out through your nose. Now, I would like you to place one or both of your hands on your abdomen. With your next breath, continuing to do nasal breathing, as you inhale, your belly should swell. See if you can gently swell your belly like a balloon and your hand move outward. On the exhale, your belly should contract. See if you can relax the belly and let it deflate as you exhale. As you're breathing like this, the sides of your rib cage are expanding outward, and your chest just below the collarbone is moving ever so slightly upward. So if you like, as you continue to move your belly in and out with each breath, you can place your hands on the sides of your ribs, feeling them expand outward and move inward. And then you can place your fingertips just below your collarbone, very lightly, feeling that area move ever so slightly upward and then ever so slightly downward again. With your next breath, I'd like you to follow along with my count. We're going to add a slightly longer exhale. Remembering to breathe in and out through your nose, deep diaphragmatic breathing. We're going to start on my count. Inhale, 2, 3, 4. Exhale, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6. Inhale, 2, 3, 4. Exhale, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6. Now I'd like you to continue in this way, breathing deeply in through your nose and then slowly out through your nose for longer than the exhale, longer than the inhale. Do this at whatever pace is comfortable for you. It could be a count of 4 and 6. It could be less. It could be more. As you're doing this, notice how the air feels as it's moving in and out through your nose. Feel the warmth. Notice how it sounds. Continuing to breathe in through your nose, out through your nose. And if you notice your mind starting to wander, this is normal. We all do it. Simply bring the focus back to your breath. Each time your mind starts to wander, no matter how long it takes, as soon as you notice, with a detached awareness and without judgment, just bring your awareness back to the breath. Continuing with 1 or 2 more breaths in this way, whatever feels right for you. And whenever you're ready, wiggle your fingers, wiggle your toes. If your eyes are closed, open them back up and come back into this space. All right, thank you so much for taking the time to do that. Now that you have experienced this, I'd like to one more time take a moment to really pause and notice what you're feeling in your body. And now I'd like you to rate your stress again on a scale of 1 to 10, and then compare this to how you rated yourself earlier. And then just tuck this away for thinking about later. All right, let's review the benefits of finding ways to manage your stress. These include increased resilience, greater self-compassion, higher brain function, better immune function, lower blood pressure and heart rate, better blood sugar control, which can be huge, better attention and focus, and of course, lower anxiety levels, improved relationships, and overall lower risk of chronic disease. Now, it's easy to talk about the changes that we should make, but it's a different story to actually make it happen. One of the hardest things about making change and incorporating new habits is just getting started. If you like, you can try creating an action plan that includes the following. My first strategy to cope with stress is then make a commitment. I will start on, pick a day to start and include the day and time you'll do it. Make sure you include support. I will reach out to people who can support me, including, and have a backup plan. What I will do in challenging times at work or home is, finally, you want to have a relapse plan. If I need to get back on track, I will. For example, you can reach out to a friend or family member, restructure your plan, or reach out to a health coach for support. Finally, for any of you who felt like you got something positive out of either of the breathing exercises and maybe want something to remind you of how to do it, you're welcome to throw your email in the comments, and tomorrow or maybe the next day, I'll send a file with a couple cards you can print and use whenever you would like. All right, thank you so much for listening, and I will throw this back to Mike.
All right. Thank you so much, Kristina, for that presentation. That was very relaxing. I mean, I was like, in the very beginning, I was stressed for a totally separate reason. And yeah, I went from a 7 to a 3, especially after that second exercise where I was like really being very intentional with your guiding us through that. So if it's okay, Kristina, we got about 10 minutes to go. Is it okay if we just see if there's any questions or comments folks have about the presentation or for you today? Is that okay?
Absolutely.
Cool. What questions or comments do we have for Kristina today?
That was helpful.
I have it's more of a comment than a question. The breathing exercises. One of the things that I had noticed, first of all, it is so important, and thanks for reminding me that I have to breathe sometimes, but because that's so true. And one thing that I learned about myself recently is I have like a personal trainer that I use 2-3 times a week, and he had noticed in many of the reps that we were doing exercises, whether it was with weights or the rowing machine or whatever I was doing, that I would make these god awful faces, and he would call it wasted energy, and I would get myself so worked up that I couldn't breathe. And he was like, so we really worked on that a lot. And I find when I'm stressed, my breathing, my face is contorted or whatever. And so I've learned a lot about myself through that, where he would be like, Bev, stop, see your face, you need to breathe, it was preventing me to doing what I needed to do to relax. So when it ended with the breathing, by the way, I went ahead and went to bed for you, since it's past your bedtime, during that stress. So, but in the end, I just wanted to say, yes, that breathing is so important for everything. I know sometimes you get in the car, you're stressed out, you're going to go to a meeting for something, you have to sit there and just take some deep breaths, slow things down. Think I just need to do that more often. So, but anyway, thank you. Great job.
Yeah, we so often forget how important it is to take those deep breaths until we do it, and it feels so good. And it sounds like you've really seen that firsthand with your exercise, that how important it really is. Yeah.
And the idea of breathing through your heart, that was kind of interesting. I've never really heard that idea before. I've heard, the diaphragm and all that, but never really the heart. So that was kind of cool.
And what did you think of it?
I thought it was good because I think it makes you more mindful of your heart health, and then also of your heart love or whatever. So I think it's just a good way to concentrate on the heart,
Mhm.
meaning physically and emotionally.
Yeah. I love that you mentioned that, because so this is heart math. It's the first step of heart math. And, as you move farther in on other steps, it starts to get into thinking about positive thoughts as you're doing that breathing. And then it's, talking about, really having feelings of compassion and kindness and love to yourself, and then expressing it outward. So it really kind of, I feel like you even started to connect a little bit with what that really could be.
Yeah, that's really powerful. Again, also, what was the name of the book that you said? Mindfulness what?
My book or Mike's book?
Your book.
My book. Oh, my book is Mindfulness, an 8-week plan for finding peace in a frantic world. I can.
Who's the author?
Mark Williams and Danny Penman.
Okay.
And one of the things I love about this book is there's actually there's audio online that you can access with meditations that go along with each of the chapters.
Okay.
Well, I enjoyed it. On Wednesday nights, most of the time, I go to choir practice. And years ago, you can have the worst day in the world. You go to choir practice, and you feel so much better when you leave. And at first, I was thinking, it's nice people and blah blah blah, beautiful music. No, I think it's the breathing, because when we warm up, we breathe, and we do breathing exercises, and you come out of there feeling like, what stressful day. So it really does work, and thank you for the reminder. I don't get as stressed as I used to because I retired, but today I had a day where I was running around a lot, and I started to feel that way, like, ew. I got 5 minutes to get here and there, and that's not my normal day. So I needed to breathe. Thank you.
Yeah, for me, I just want to mention there were so many great things that you mentioned, Kristina, but a couple things that really stand out for me. The self-compassion piece that you talked about, right? That is an area that I personally, a lot of people in this call know this, that I struggle with. I tend to beat myself up. And a lot of my clients do the same thing, right? It's like, oh my God, I didn't do it right. Dang it, I can't do this. And this cycle of despair. So, talking about self-compassion, how incredibly important that is to give yourself grace. It's just such a great reminder. And then I love the supportive relationships piece, right? When people in the pillars of how we can be healthy, and the lifestyle pillars, which is, what can we do to eat as many plants as possible? How can we move? How can we avoid, the risky substances like tobacco and such? What are we doing to minimize stress in our lives, right? How are we getting sleep? And the last one people don't really think about is, what kind of supportive, loving, connected relationships do I have in my life? And how am I being intentional to making sure that it's happening? And it's not something that comes naturally for me. I really have to work to make sure I'm having those connections with friends and family, because I tend to get in my own stuff and I'm just busy, and it gets put off. In fact, quite frankly, for many, many years when I worked in my big boy job, I was always busy, and all that stuff that's incredibly important was always on the back burner. So I think that's such a great reminder to take that time to say, what am I doing to make sure that I'm having these connections in my life and such. So thank you for that as well, Kristina. Any other questions or comments for Kristina before we close out today?
No.
So do you, Kristina, do you actually, you're still a nurse, right?
I am a nurse, yes.
And so do you practice these meditations and things like that with your patients?
So currently my primary work is as a health coach, and the work I do as a nurse, I'm not even working directly with patients. It's just remote on the computer. Yeah. But I do these with my coaching patients. If they want to, it's always an option. I have one who loves these, always wants them, another person who doesn't want them, and other people in between. I always offer it, and it's there if they want it.
Very cool. All right. I think we're going to close it out. Again, Kristina, thank you so much for joining us. It's such great information. So glad I can record it and share it later on as well for the folks that wanted to be here tonight but couldn't be here tonight. But we had a pretty good crowd. I guess there was 8 of us. So that's about right. I think probably anywhere from 4 to 12 or what have you. That's right in the middle. So, but again, I know it's late for you, and it's late for me too. I'm very tired. So
I appreciate you all letting me join this call and just letting me share this with you. And I'm glad to hear that you it was a good reminder about how important breathing is, and was a little nice stress reduction moment at the end of the day.
definitely.
So, thank you.
Very helpful.
Thank
you.
you, Kristina.
Thanks, guys. We're going to close it out. Thank you so much.
Thank
guys
you
take
all.
care. See ya.
Thank you.
Thank you. Bye-bye.